What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going over the long-awaited updates to the Clown Crew Fairy deck profile. The Genesys points update earlier in this month definitely assigned a lot of points to a bunch of the different non-engine that this deck had access to. And then I was waiting for the Battles of Legend, Glorious Gallery / Chaos Origins point update before actually, settling on exactly how I wanted to play this deck moving forward. So starting off, we're going to go through the main engine of the deck. The main engine hasn't really changed all that much. We're still on 3 Biancaviso, 3 Flare, 3 Rehearsal, 3 Malabarisma, 1 Matinee Operatics, 1 Soiree Operations, and then 1 New Face. There is a new trap that comes out in Chaos Origins that thankfully was not pointed. I would definitely say that card is worth playing, but primarily in the side deck. I don't want to have too many traps in this deck, and with some of the other point updates and cards that we're now playing, I don't want to clog the back row as well, because you very quickly can fill up all 5 of your zones. Then we're on 3 copies of Preparation of Rites and 2 copies of Manju. As you can see, I'm holding the exact opposite of those ratios. I did order a new playset of Preparation of Rites in Quarter Century Secret Rare that I'm just waiting to come in. So for now I'm showing it like this, but it is definitely 3 Prep, 2 Manju. Now, going over the points of the engine, Preparation of Rites is 15 points each. Manju is 1 point each, so that's already going to be 17 points allocated right there. Neither of those are points. This is 20. Malabarisma is 10 each. And then Biancaviso is 1 point each as well. So that brings the main engine of the deck up to, I want to say, 70 points exactly. The Clown Crew cards are 53, and then with the preps and the Manju, you're going up to another 17, putting you at 70. Now, that only leaves you 30 points of non-engine that you're allowed to play, but this is only really half the deck. So the distribution of your points, in my opinion, are best allocated towards playing some other complementary engine in the deck, and then playing, some of the higher pointed non-engine. By higher pointed, I mean cards like Nibiru, which is only 8. Or playing a lot of very low to no pointed cards. Now, I still really like the fairies for this deck. You're drawing a lot. You have the potential to draw into fairies. I did try out a couple different strategies. I really liked the idea of more of an Azamina build, where you're only actually locked from the monsters summoned from the extra deck. So if you're able to make it so where the monster is considered no longer to be summoned from the extra deck, so if it's, banished and returned, or if you send it to the graveyard and summon it back, then it's no longer a monster summoned from the extra deck and you're free to activate the effects. However, I don't believe I really had the points allocated to effectively do that. So I'm keeping it to the Heralds for now, but I'm still experimenting with the deck to see if there's anything else I want to try out. So with the 30 points that we have remaining, we're on 3 copies of Herald of Orange Light, 3 copies of Herald of Green Light, 2 copies of Herald of Purple Light in the main deck. There is a third one in the side. So right here, this is already 18 points, factoring in the third one, which only now leaves us with just 12 points. That point update really hurt us as far as what's playable. The Nibirus also jumped from 6 points a copy up to 8 points, which now puts it from 18 to 24. And we just cannot play Nibiru. Unfortunately, we just don't have the points for it. I would say it's either the Heralds or Nibiru. But over this, you're getting 8 different cards for that points. And it's less points than the Nibiru. So having more copies of cards in our deck that are still high enough quality to play is sort of how I'm viewing to play this. Then we have another 3 copies towards Ava. Ava was just a 2 of before, but I'm bumping it up to 3, just so we can make sure that we are getting to more Heralds. And I want to make sure that I have enough discard fodder for the Heralds. We're still on 1 Keldo and 1 Mudora. Also very unfortunate that these went up from 1 point to 2 points. It seems like nothing, but now, the cost of one of these was the cost of both of these before. So that's 4 points allocated towards them. And then I'm still on the ones Vita. I still like having an additional normal summon in the deck, or additional tribute summon, I should specify. And Vita is still just the best one in my opinion. It's a light fairy for the Ava. It's level 5, so it just needs one tribute. And then on summon, it pops an opponent's monster. So definitely still playing one. We're on 3 copies of Enemy Controller. I have upgraded to Ultra Rare. I do plan on upgrading these rarities as well. As long as I keep liking this deck, I want to, kind of help max it out. I say max it out as if the main engine wasn't maximum a super rare. And then now we're on 3 copies of Forbidden Chalice. It's obviously dropped down to 1 point, which I think is insane. It's going to see such a spike in play, which does hurt your own Bianca Viso, because if more people are on Chalice, that sort of targeted negation does kind of hurt you a little bit. But at 1 point, you can't just not play it. And then what I was mentioning before about the spell and trap cards, the spell and trap zones filling up, we're on 3 Chalice, 3 Enemy Controller, and you're drawing upwards of like 5 or 6 cards in a turn. And, you do fill up your zones actually kind of quick. Because if you have Matinee Apparatics, at least 1 trap, maybe you get access to those other ones. Like, you fill up real quick. And that does put us to 40 cards. And that puts us, I want to say, to 98 points. Not including the side deck. But still factoring in the Herald of Purple Light. And then we can get into the extra deck updates. I'm no longer able to afford Heavy Poly, as I want to say that's not like a 3-point card. We just can't afford to play it anymore. So we're on 3 copies of Clown Crew Fiends, 3 Meteor, 3 Diabolo. These 9 cards are really all of the extra deck that matters. The remaining 6 cards, they really don't come up. I've tested probably 50 matches with this deck, and the extra deck options, like, yes, they're cute. Sometimes they might maybe be relevant, but they really aren't. So with that being said, I'm going to go over them anyway. Hound. Hound is, in my opinion, the best rank 5 option you can have. He has a continuous effect that every time an opponent's monster effect resolves, it's gaining 500 attack. So that is a continuous effect. So this could get up pretty quickly in terms of attack points. Also, the turn it's summoned, it can't be destroyed by battle or card effects. Kind of unfortunate, because in order for the lock to wear off, you have to wait like a full turn cycle of your turn, your opponent's turn, and you have to not use any of the cards that re-lock you in order to get his standby phase effect. So it's highly unlikely you're even getting to that. You primarily just summon him as a beater. Transcendosaurus Drill Ignathus? I don't know how to say this guy's name. He's a rank 6 with 3,000 attack. That is all that matters. He has some effect with dinosaurs or something. Irrelevant. And then we're on 2 copies of Goblin's Crazy Beast. Why 2? Because I found 2. Crazy Beast is potentially relevant. It does have the quick effect to try and out a spell and trap card that your opponent has. But once again, if you're extra deck locked, which you primarily will be if you're trying to summon him off of, your extra deck guys. However, he also has the effect where he's able to summon himself back from grave. And then once again, now he's no longer a monster that is summoned from the extra deck. So 2,700 attack, can summon himself back, might be relevant. And then we're on 1 Tyrus, Keeper of Genesys. This is because it is a Genesys monster. And we're in Genesys format. And it's a rank 5. Funnily enough, if you lock yourself, you're from the extra deck effects, then you can't legally activate the graveyard effect to detach a material. I thought it was cute. I thought it was cute that it's a Genesys monster, and I just pulled it, Starlight Rare. Kind of want to show it off. And then finally, the remnant of the fact that I can't play Heavy Poly anymore. This could be anything. The only thing I would recommend as like a small min-max operation you could do is don't play any number monsters. The number monsters, they potentially, if you get paired against a Galaxy player, they might be able to rip it from your extra deck. That's really the only change I would suggest. Herald of Orange Light is a tuner monster. So you potentially do have a synchro option as well, but it's just not something really I've considered looking into. Continuing on to the side deck, this is not a complete side deck. This is just me showing off some of my thoughts, and some of my cards still have not arrived. But we're on 3 copies of Hekahan's Godos, It could be DD Crow if you want to use your last 2 points towards it. My plan is to have my Purple Light and then 2 copies of Artifact Lancey as the last 3 points sort of allocated towards the deck. And then 3 copies of Twin Twisters. I would suggest Twin Twisters over Cosmic Cyclone just because you can discard an Ava and then trigger it to go ahead and search for more Heralds. And then some of the other side deck options that I've been messing around with is definitely Interrupted Kaiju Slumber with Kaijus. Definitely, you can tribute your opponent's monster, but sometimes you do just need to tribute on your opponent's turn. And playing only 3 Bianca Visa with this Vita, that was kind of an important role that Nibiru also had that now Kaijus could potentially fill. And then the last 6 cards that I ordered specifically for this were Gravity Collapses, because it's really easy to end on a Synchro, the Meteor. And then the Wicked Avatar. I did order a playset of Wicked Avatar just to try out. I know Floodgates are cringe, but they do win you games. So that's sort of the last 6 cards that I'm planning to try out for this deck. If you have any thoughts or opinions on maybe how to try out the deck moving forward, let me know in the comments section down below, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.